Now, ideal proportion does not mean perfect proportion or desired proportion. It just means proportion based on an idea or proportion based on measurements. And that is basically all that it means. So, the human figure is normally considered as being made up of 7.5 heads. So if we place the foot there, see if it comes into my picture. Yeah, it seems to. Just about cutting off the top, but it doesn't matter. Then 7.5 heads, that would be. First thing we have to do is we have to find the halfway point. This charcoal is a little bit it seems a little bit damp somehow. Okay, there's one mark and the other mark. Now to find the halfway point of something, I've got a very simple method. I draw a line like that, charcoal, that looks right to me. That's what I try to do. Then I move the whole thing up. And oh my goodness, it's close. Very, very, very close. Let's just hold it nicely. There. Come on now, don't fall over, sort of thing. There. So the distance between those two is the exact halfway point of the figure. So that's rather nice. Got the figure halfway, got the top of the head, and I got the bottom. Now normally at this halfway point, that is exactly, which one is it? That lower one, yeah. That is exactly where the crotch would be. The crotch. Or the crotch, I'm not sure. From here, we divide the body into two again, and then here, okay, let's do that first. Let's divide that into two, and again I'm going to use my little method to find my halfway point. Go from there to there. Now, if this is correct, then that should be the same. If it's not correct, then it's the difference between the 2 points there. That's the halfway point. I'll rub that one up just with my finger. I can use a putty rubber. I've got one here. So now I'll do the same thing again. I'll find the halfway point between A and B. I think it should be about there. And drag the whole thing down there. And again, it's a little bit lower than that, say about 1 millimeter lower. About 1 millimeter, there. Right. Now that makes it easier, and then I can use that measurement and I can find another head. So now I've got the perfect head size. With the head size, I'll do that a little bit darker. Maybe even with a pen, so that I don't lose it so easily. The head size, I want to work here, would go from the top of the paper to there. That's the head size. Okay, same there to the nipples. Then we'd need another measurement here. Same again. Oh, come on. That's supposed to be a very bad. Now, when we get here, half a head back. If we take, let's assume somebody's wearing jockey shorts, male or female. There. Then that is where your hips will be. The jockey shorts looks like that because your hips are there and your crotch is there. Now from this point, okay, I'm just going to write down the hips, and I'll write down chin, etc., etc., etc. Hips will be here. Now, those are my friends driving, so I'm going to stop now. Chin there. And then from the hips down towards the feet, I'll use my pencil. Halfway from there to there, I'll do that in the same way again. Halfway from there to there, that will be where the knees are, halfway like that. Now that, if that's not the same as there, it's so close, it's half a millimeter down. So okay, the knees will be there. So now I know where the knees will be. I know where the hips will be. And this I'm going to mark off as the floor. Bottom of the foot, the floor. And that I'll mark off as the top of the head. Crown. Crown, chin, breast, belly buttons here. Apparently the body is 2 heads wide across the shoulders, 1 head wide across the waist, and 1 head wide across the calves. Carry on. So here, that's the chin. Now if we take another measurement here from the crotch to the top of the head, from this one now, it's a whole new one, and we divide this area into thirds. More difficult, just a little bit more time consuming. I think if I fold my paper like that, if I fold my paper, it'll be 2 things. One, it'll be a little bit more sturdy, and 2, it won't want to fall down onto the floor the whole time, so like that. Nice. Alright, so we've got the top of the head there. I think a third would be probably around there, and then I do what I think would be another third, which would be around about there. Now I have to be lucky, and I do the third, which is there. It's exactly right. Now, that is just blind luck. You do that by testing and adjusting. If this is not a third, you make it a little bit bigger, and you make it a little bit smaller. But now with these extra measurements that we've got here, that'll be the chin, this will be the shoulders. I hope I've got enough width, but otherwise I'll just draw right across my writing. Shoulders. Knees. This one will be the waist. That's supposed to be the belly button, see? That's the waist, the third down. Waist. Which also helps us to find roughly where the elbows are, but there are other measurements for the elbows as well. This is the crotch. Crotch. Now we've got nearly a full figure here. The next thing is to start drawing in the actual details. What I'm going to do now, right or wrong? Come on. Oh, that's not so good. I'm going to take my head measurement like that. Like that. That's my head measurement. And then I'm going to draw right across the shoulders. I'm going to draw one head that way. I'm not so sure about this measurement. I always thought it's 1.5 head across. But anyway, that's a good measurement. That'll just make a very broad-shouldered figure for a woman, you see. Very broad-shouldered. So I would bring it back a little bit. And then where we want to find the nipples, the line between the chin and the belly button, the navel here, I'm writing the navel lightly because the navel is movable, but that measurement is useful. So head, nipples, navel, crotch. Okay, nipples. I can't see the 2 heads. Nipples. There. But nipples normally are a fraction lower than that line. Not quite there. I'd say the nipples should be about there. about there. So a little bit lower. But you can write them, you can make them there. If it's just easy to remember, it feels okay. Okay, now we've got to try and do for the width of the figure. First I'll try and draw the head. Now the head is an oval, essentially. But it's not really just an oval. There are descriptions that we use for heads. Almond-faced head. This side looks better, you see. So I think that side needs to come out as well. An almond-shaped head, or a round head, as Oliver Cromwell and so on, or a square head, as we used to say about the Second World War German soldiers. And then at the cheekbone is the widest point of the head, so it does a little bit like that, a little bit flattened and round. Flattened and round. It's not a bad head, but anyway, that's what we're going to be working with. Now, we want to work for the shoulders. The shoulders. I don't think the shoulders should be wider than that. I really don't. So not quite 2 heads. And on this side as well, not quite 2 heads. Then Loomis has a wonderful system where he draws a line like that. It's like a shield, like a crusader's kind of shield. Wonderful shape. And it anchors the body nicely. It's still quite a broad-shouldered woman. And this one in a bit there, like that. In like that. Maybe a little bit more V-shaped, and I've got that other one. A little bit more V-shaped, a little bit too full there. Okay. This together with the shoulders will help us to establish at the back of the body the trapezius muscle, which comes up like that and into the neck. See, so the shoulders flat for a while, trapezius, and the same thing here. Down, that should come out a bit. Down, trapezius, and flat. And flat. That's a better looking shoulder because I made it rounder. Now just remember, some people have longer necks, some people have shorter necks, some people have wider chins, and some people, all of these things. But this is just the idea. I still think that this, to me, for the moment, looks... I think there should be more of a straight line. I'm going to rub that out and make it straighter. And this one, and make it straighter, more like that. More like a straight line. Come all the way down there. And here, more like a straight line. And come all the way there. Otherwise, her rib cage is just going to be too wide. That's better. Okay, that brings us all the way down to, then we've got the little pubic area, which is smaller than that measurement for the hips. The pubic area there, something like that, which is a useful measurement. And then our next measurement is we're going to come down towards the hips. The hips are a bit narrower than the shoulders. It doesn't really show in his schematics. He doesn't really show how much, but I'd say the hips could be as wide as the shoulders because I made the shoulders a bit narrower. So like that. This is the way I like to draw the thighs. Okay. I like to give it an S shape. So exaggerate the S shape a little bit. Come out for the muscle. And come in towards the knee, like that. Like that, like an hourglass shape. And then I need to try and get the same distance there, because the body's got to be symmetrical at every single point. But that looks symmetrical enough. And then go with the S shape. S. There. Like like a champagne glass. It's a very beautiful form. So the human body is made up of beautiful, beautiful, beautiful shapes everywhere. This could be a bit fuller, otherwise there's no space for a knee there. So this could be a bit fuller here as well, to be able to fit a complete knee in there on each side. Not too bad. This comes up to where the hips are. And then the calves is really just a smooth shape from there, around there, coming up a little bit like that, like I don't know what, like a surfboard, something like that. There, the calves. And here, in fact, I'd like to do the same thing again. I like to do it as an S. Do the S, bend the S in, bend the S out. Do the S, bend the S in, and then bend the S out. Now here is very difficult because we've got two different systems of measurement. And I'll try and show them to you on the right hand side here somewhere. That would be here. A little bit here. The hair is higher than, so sorry, the head is smaller. The head is smaller than the hair mass. Okay, that head could be a little bit smaller. And I'm not going to try and give her a hairstyle, a fancy hairstyle or anything like that. But there we go. I'm starting to see restatements and restatements and restatements all the time. You have to adjust. You have to adjust. Like the shape of the legs, the shape of the head, and so on. So we've got two systems here. I can take these lines with the ruler and I can draw them across. The first system is the heads, the system of the heads. And then what I normally like to do here when I come to where the feet are, I like to draw a triangle like that. That will be the feet on a slight incline, like a heel. Not a very high heel, but a bit of a heel, like that. That'll be where the toes go. Like that. Below that line, below the floor line, this of perspective. Right, then. My knees were a bit better. And then there's a lovely gap between the knees, which you can draw or leave out for now. Settle this in. Okay, if I have a ruler, then I can take some of these lines across, which I will do, but I'll just pause for a moment. I might turn off the camera, I might not turn off the camera. I'll leave it on. So I fish myself a ruler. Yeah, why not? But also, but the chin is more important in the first drawing. This drawing, chin. Less important in this drawing. So just a light touch. Then the shoulders, which are really important in this one, in the second drawing. Just check that it's on my page. It looks like it is. Yeah. It's on the camera. Like that. Then we got the nipples. Half a head. I mean, another head. Oh, that one looks like it's angling down a bit. Anyway, this one looks like it's straight. Nipples. Head, nipples. Oop. Belly button. Waist first. Waist is part of this drawing. Navel, belly button is part of this drawing, not part of that drawing. Here are the hips. I'm going to take the hips right across in both drawings. Hips there, and hips there as well. But then we got the crutch. Quite important in both drawings. In there, nice and dark. In there, nice and dark. Then we get the knees. And the knees are important in both drawings. And of course, the floor. Okay, so this one works from the top, and then it goes to one head, two heads, three heads, and four heads. That one. So this one is worked, everything's worked out on head sizes. But then we step back here, from here where the crotch is, we step back a half head before we get to the hip. So then we start again from hip, right, small, and then we do two heads, 1, 2 heads, and 1, 1, 2 heads. So if I, where's my measuring? With the heads, there's my head, from the hip, I get one head, and oopsie, and don't have it. Oh, that hip is not halfway. That hip is nowhere like halfway. There, that's where the hip is. Okay, so from the hip, 1, and then 2. So hip, that will be from 4 heads, that will be an extra 1 head, extra 2 heads for the knee, extra 3 mid-calf, and an extra 4 for the floor. Now this is academic proportion. These are. That's academic proportion. That's the proportion according to the old masters and according to the important art schools, the academies and so on, which is basically the art schools of the old masters. Like that. Those are the proportions, the ideal proportions. This other set with the thirds just goes from top of the head. I'm going to try and copy what he's done there. Top of the head to a point. Yeah, nice and round, comes to a point. He makes it come to a point. That point could come right there, I suppose, but it could also come a little bit lower to give you a shape of head, which is a similar shape to that. It's an important one. Then that line is important. Then we got the width of the shoulders there, and there, and this is the one where we draw the shield. Oh, wait a minute, before I do that. Everything that we draw needs to be symmetrical. Anything in anatomy, animals, and so on. Even cups and saucers. We need to, symmetry is very important. So there, like that. Then this on both sides comes to there. I don't want to make it too wide. I don't like it too wide. In some of his anatomical, his proportion studies, he makes the body very wide, particularly in the woman. Men, a broad shoulders in a man is Arnie Schwarzenegger as opposed to a long distance athlete. There. So now what we have here is we have thirds. And that's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3. Takes care of the upper body. And then from here on, we work again with the 2 heads. So the knee is there. So okay, from there then, hip, and this will be halfway. 1 and 2 takes us to the floor. So, simple system. In this case, the head will actually, the chin will actually be there. It's important. Because without that knowledge of the chin, of where the chin is going to be, it won't look right. It needs to be a bit narrow. Yeah. Chin. So this whole thing needs to be drawn a bit narrower. 2 teardrop shapes on top of it. Each other. Then he does another one, which is an interesting one. But I'm not sure where on earth he places it. And that is from the hips here. From about there. He draws a line which comes out like this. Very nicely. And places the hips very nicely. And then from, the hips. Like that, maybe a little bit wider. And then this line starts from there, where the hip comes. So that should be wider. And there. So 2 systems. 1 head, 2 heads, 3 heads, 4 heads, 5 heads, 6 heads, 7 heads, and a half head. There. Now this is difficult. Very difficult, and some of you will want this information. You'll want to learn it, you'll want to master it. And others will not mind. So there, and so on. Then there's also the arms. The arms are another problem. These spaces between the legs, which are rather interesting. A lovely one just below the knees. Do a negative for it, like that. Negative for it, like that. And another negative about there. Also very interesting. That's just more or less interesting. The arms, the arms fit into a socket there. So around here, the body does that. Why should I draw it? I draw it over here. Yeah, no, it doesn't matter. The body does that. That would be the rib cage. The rib cage goes up and into the neck and comes down. But now I'm talking anatomy. Doesn't matter. Anatomy is fine. So anatomy, and then the shoulder sits like that. And the inside there's a shoulder joint. This is between 2 things. The one is the trapezius, and the trapezius at the back of the body also is slightly descriptive of the scapula of the shoulder blades. This is the clavicle. Another S. Another S. And this trapezius plus the clavicle makes a beautiful diamond shape. Now the arm comes out from there. And a slight curve. The arm should be wider. The shoulder should be higher than the hips. Maybe that's why Loomis likes to maybe that's why he likes to make the shoulders a little bit wider than the hips are. Okay, so the arms come like that. The top part of the arm is just a single bone, the funny bone. Is it? The humerus. Yeah, it is. And then from the humerus, after the humerus, there are 2 bones. One like that, and one like that. 2 separate bones. And these 2 bones are, to me, some of the most remarkable bones in the whole human anatomy. They are fantastic because those 2 bones means that we can take our arm. Those 2 bones are next to each other now. We roll the arm over, we rotate the hand over, and those 2 bones cross over. So the hand will come to about there, mid-thigh, the fingers, to about mid-thigh. And the hand itself is quite a difficult, tricky one to work out how large the hand should be. But basically, the hand will cover the pubic area. So let's say the palm of the hand, if we swing it in, will cover the pubic area. And that's quite nice. The hand's not very wide outside of the pinky, but the way I've drawn that hand, that's not the pinky. That's the thumb. So those are basically all the proportions that we need. I think here I've got the upper arm wrong. I've got my own measurement for the upper arm, the way I like to work it out. See, that bone joins, like a T-junction, joins those two. Well, what I like to do when I try to work out the proportions of the arm, I like to think that if you take this arm and the elbow and you hold your shoulder more or less straight, but you lift your arm up, straight up in the air, and then you bend it over your head. So your arm's up there, and you bend at the elbow, your arm will rest horizontally on top of your chin. That means that for me, from there, if your shoulder lifts a little bit and the arm goes up there towards the top of the head and then comes in like that, the humerus would be about the same size as the head. So that works for me.